Hey guys, it's Nicole. Just want to give you all a heads up that we were about 75% through recording our Logan discussion when Cole said, guys, I don't think I'm recording. So we don't have good audio for Cole for the first 75% of the conversation, but we did back our conversation up with the Craigbot in Discord. So if you were wondering why Cole sounds like dog shit, I'm assuming sounds like dog shit. I haven't heard the final edit yet. That's why please don't yell at us. Give us 5 stars, like, review, tell your friends, tell your family. On to our Logan discussion.
The X-Men is actually like yeah, one of the horniest comic book franchises, but especially like going into the 90s. I mean, just everyone was wearing like a corset and like a mini skirt and a leather jacket
Corsets.
over that, and then their hair was like down to their fucking knees. And you know what? They should have taken some pointers from the comics there. Yeah, they're a little bit of a dude bro fantasy, but you
Well,
can you
I
can
guess this is
reclaim
how we're
that pretty
opening our
easily.
Logan episode.
Yeah,
Yes.
hello everyone. This is Marvelous or the Death of Cinema, and we are talking today about the maybe the first prestige, very adult, very mature, R-rated, violent and swearing and sad comic book movie for grown ass men. It's Logan.
Unless you count Watchmen, unless you
Oh
count
right, yeah. But
Blade,
like
unless you
Watchmen is an
count. I already gave that
an
spiel.
adult movie based on an adult comic. Well, adult in quotation marks for the movie. Um, but like this is like we're taking characters that started as normal comic book stuff and we're going to
Exactly.
elevate them to being for adults.
This is for the adults. This is not your son's Marvel movie. Wolverine
Say
actually gets to rip guys' throats out, and there's
this ain't your
blood,
dad's Wolverine. He
which
says
I
fuck.
to
It's
I
his
will
first
say that
line in
was
the
the best
movie.
part of the movie is
yeah,
is just
which
watching him claw the shit out of people.
it which really also like just straight off the bat, I haven't really watched any X-Men movies aside from 80 85% of Days of Future Past on like cable because there was just a period of 3 years where that was all that FX was playing on like television at like 8 p.m. or whatever.
Well, no, that was the FX Men.
But um, so this is my real first like actual time watching an X-Men movie, and obviously this is going to be the best of the franchise. It's widely
Yeah, you don't have to
understood as
watch
being the
any of the other
best.
ones.
So it's all downhill from here, baby. And to my understanding, this is the only time Wolverine is allowed to like do shit a guy with Freddy Krueger claws growing out of his hands would do, which is spill a lot of blood and hack a lot of limbs off. I understand the other X-Men movies are PG-13 bloodless when it
They're
comes to
soft PG
Wolverine.
13. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're soft PG-13. That fucking sucks. I hate.
I guess
That's all PG-13 now.
aside from
There's no
aside
hard
from
PG-13
yeah, like
anymore.
the latex skin suit nude Rebecca Romaine, yeah, pretty soft PG 13.
That fucking
So yeah, I will
sucks.
say in favor of
For
this
being
movie, which I
something
think we all
directed by
agree
a
is like
sex pervert.
fine.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, at least you get to see Wolverine just like take a dude's head off. Like that.
It's
That's
it's
pretty cool.
completely inoffensive, I think. Like
Yeah.
there's really nothing that you can get mad at this movie for doing, which is kind of a miracle because the original comic, is Mark Millar, and
Okay,
Oh, is that how it's pronounced? Millar?
Millar, yeah.
Cool. Give us because we need to exploit your expertise. Give us the
Yes.
background on Old Man Logan, which is what this movie is based on.
So, Old Man Logan is a story from, I believe, the early 2010s. And it was, just a sort of like what if bottle arc about what the last sort of Wolverine story would look like. And it's not terrible, I think Millar gets a little bit too much of a bad rap in terms of he writes a lot of edgy shit, but when he doesn't write edgy shit, it usually turns out pretty good. And the non-edgy like genre western stuff in and Logan is fantastic. It's very similar to the movie in at least in the raw setup. He has to drive across country to essentially deal with something that he doesn't want to deal with because he's retired, and a lot of superheroes died at some point in the past. That is about all they have in common.
Okay, so the things like because in this movie, it's Wolverine finds a little girl Wolverine who is genetically his daughter, or first a Mexican nurse who was working for an underground private like evil government facility that is turning children or cultivating mutant powers in children as weapons of mass destruction, pays him to get this kid to North Dakota where she will be free from
it's okay here I'll try and give like a concise plot summary.
There's a reason I've stopped doing the summaries, guys.
It is the distant year of 2029. Wolverine is an old man in hiding because at some point basically all the mutants died,
and there haven't been any more since.
There haven't been any more since. He's just driving a limo
situation. Children of X-Men.
Yeah, children. Yeah, he's driving a limo, and his healing factor is kind of like degenerating. So he's getting old. He's dying. He's being poisoned by the adamantium in his body, which is what was coated his skeleton. Let's give him his claws, and him and an albino who can like smell mutants. Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, Stephen Merchant, the god.
Are among the last surviving mutants, and they're looking after a Professor X who's like going senile. There's something wrong with his brain. And they need to keep him drugged up or else he'll have a seizure. And when he has a seizure, he just like fries the brains of everyone in a mile radius.
Side note, fun Patrick Stewart performance.
Him and Hugh Jackman are really committed.
They have great chemistry. They're great together.
They do, yeah. And yeah, so this woman comes up from Mexico with this little girl who is like a little girl Wolverine, but she's also got claws in her feet, which is kind of cool.
Because women or the female Wolverines or something about
there's big cats.
Female lions, cats.
Female lions have claws to guard as well as to attack. So she has foot claws, which I think is also the reasoning that they give in the comics because. This is for those comic fans. This is the debut of fan favorite character X-23. Although she's way younger in this than she's typically portrayed. She's normally like around teenager to young adult. I think is where they're at in most of the comics. But in here she's like 9 or 10.
I think she's like 11, but she does look like. Young. Well, she also has like that feral child kind of energy.
Yeah. Can I finish the concise plot summary? So she's like, all right, here's the deal. Wolverine, he's Logan. He's saving up to buy a boat so he can take Professor Oaks out on the ocean where he can't hurt anybody. And then they can just kind of live out their days in peace on the sea. She gives him a bunch of money, says, here's more money. take this little girl to these coordinates in North Dakota, and then from there they will go to Canada, where I guess mutants can get asylum or something. And then, yeah, obviously the bad guys are after him. The little girl's from a secret lab where they bred a bunch of like a new generation of mutant bioweapons. And the back half of the movie is just kind of like a series of encounters and this sort of, like, I mean, you've seen, like it's a little bit like The Last of Us or, like obviously the movie openly, explicitly, heavily references an old Western called Shane, but there's also examples like True Grit. And, you've got the old reluctant hero with a violent past drawn into one last job and a kind of young next generation person to kind of usher in The Road. Well, it's not as bleak as The Road, but it's a bit bleak.
Yeah. No,
It's that kind of type of movie. It is. Oh yeah, they meet a ridiculously kindly family of black ranchers.
And the kind of the part of the movie that sticks out as
they
like
all
not
get
really
murdered by
most.
the evil Wolverine clone.
There's an old
like
evil Wolverine clone too, guys, in case you weren't following.
And then, yeah, that's kind of, and obviously, predictably, senile Professor X dies after trying to teach Logan the value of living out what's left of his life. And then Logan dies saving all the little mutant children from the bad guys. And then they go to Canada, which is, because Canada's always the place that's just like America, but better in the mind of American broadly liberal people.
Especially when this movie was being written and coming out, where
oh yeah, Trump was just elected.
Yeah, you had
yes,
Trump was just elected.
Yes.
You had everyone assuming that we were just gonna like nuke Mexico any moment now.
Yeah, it was
actually speaking of that. Can I read one of the top rated reviews on Letterboxd for this movie, because it much reflects.
Read their username first. I want to see if they're a mutual, so then I don't get a death threat from them.
Okay.
What's their username?
Eric.
Okay, we're safe.
Okay. I got their handle. It's NRDGRN.
Okay. We're safe. They don't follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd. We can successfully call them out. We can say that they're a horrible, disgusting bug man on this movie that we also liked.
But
it's a soft like.
This is a 5-star review. Follow-up. This is a movie about refugees escaping their own demise by crossing borders, and the villain's name is Donald. This movie is about immigration. Like X-Men has always been a metaphor for gay rights. They have always tackled the commentary on being minority. And this movie really molly-whipped this country and our geek-ass president. This is all in caps. That has 719 likes.
Incredible.
None of that is true.
No, that's
actually the villain is named Donald, but they only call him that one time. I believe his Letterboxd he's just listed as
I didn't even catch that.
Well, yeah, he's a reference to the character Donald Pierce, who is the leader of the cybernetic gang, the Reavers. Yeah, he's just a straightforward adaptation of a character that's always existed in the comics, except here he's like Southern kind of. I actually really liked his performance in this movie as like this evil good old boy who just keeps hunting Wolverine and Logan. And at one point they're like, the two Wolverines are fighting, and he's talking about it as if he's witnessing like a cockfight or like a dog fight.
Yeah, he's just kind of into it. He's one of those bad guys that just kind of loves his job of being a bad guy.
I actually wish that both of them were in the movie more, because the Doctor especially is so great, but he's only in 2 scenes and then he dies.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's his hired muscle, the guy with the robot arm. I forget his name. That's like
that's Donald. That's Donald Pierce,
movie,
and then
the main villain
is the guy with the cyborg arm.
You don't even find out about this Doctor as being an active player in this until like halfway through the movie, something like that.
Yeah, I don't even know who the Doctor is supposed to be. I think it's just OC, but Yeah, the robot arm guy is a thing for the comics that they kind of honed down a little bit. In fact, that's my biggest complaint with this movie is there just wasn't it wasn't extra enough. You know, it had a great story. I really
That's
enjoyed.
the story is good, but the actual script is really mid.
Which
Yeah,
is
the
which is
script is
funny because
mid.
this was
'Cause it's-
nominated for an Oscar for adapted screenplay.
really, because
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
it's
It's not
not
a
like
great script.
it's the concept and
It's the concept itself
the
that they
concept
liked.
and the casting are really kind of carrying it.
Yeah, there's great. Everyone is giving an A game performance.
yeah. Jackman's like really like swinging for the
He's
fences
great. He's
with
great.
this one. He's really good.
I'm now
Yeah.
invested in Wolverine as a character. I understand why
Yeah,
people adore him as this guy.
when the black guy, there's in fact, and it's a very comic booky line, but he sells it where he starts comparing these massive corn harvesting robots to like dinosaurs or whatever. And I was like, I want
Yeah.
more of that. I want
You
more of
gotta
that
put
in the
that in.
movie.
Yeah, but it's but a lot of the movie is like over explaining itself and its themes and the characters. Like it's taking stuff that you can just see in the movie, in the performance, in the action, and then stating it like 3 times in a row. Like it's got that problem of like we don't want to leave anyone in the audience behind, so someone has to make every little bit of the story and theme like explicit in dialogue,
which is really funny because the film doesn't explain a lot of shit in it. There is a bunch of stuff in the movie that is just in the background that you have to piece together.
I didn't have a problem with that because, again, I was approaching this as really, technically speaking, the real first X-Men movie I've like actively sat down and engaged and watched. And as like, if you told me, like, it was only the other day I learned this is supposed to be the third in the Wolverine trilogy, but it completely works as its own standalone thing.
Oh, I don't even mean necessarily plot points per se, but like there's like a little thing, like there's self-driving cargo trucks on the road and someone has to go, oh, look, it's those self-driving cargo trucks. It's like I can just tell it's a self-driving cargo truck by looking at it.
There's one thing that the movie only really explains in background dialogue that actually provides a lot of useful motivation for the characters. Where did you guys realize that it's Professor X who killed all the X-Men?
Yes, they mentioned that.
Yeah, they mentioned that, but you have to first hear the radio thing and then also hear him.
Yeah, and it cuts it off
towards
like
the end.
just there's a radio broadcast earlier on.
That's the thing. I appreciate it that there's just that one scene where Professor X recalls what happened and alludes to it, but he doesn't go like, oh, I killed them all like that. I was like, I appreciated the subtlety of that, and I wish the rest of the script was, when it came to the character motivations, I wish the rest of the script had that somewhat degree of subtlety, because there's like,
it's weird what they choose to describe and what they don't. Like they don't make a big deal of the fact that there's like cyborg assassins being after them, which I liked. But then it's like they don't explain like something like Caliban being a mutant hunter is like one sentence thing.
Yeah, that one's like that gets, I think that's easy to follow if you're paying attention. But like the stuff where it's like when like, you know, Xavier and Logan are first kind of having their conversation after he gives them the like don't melt everyone's brain injection, and Xavier's like, I took you in, I gave you a family. This is all a little on the nose. Especially for a movie that's kind of aiming to be like a Western. It's like you let things be, you let those kind of things be kind of unspoken. Like you let characters just kind of talk around them and be a bit laconic and convey it through like action and how they look.
Which is funny because they do that same scene but better later in the movie when they're at dinner with the family that takes them in.
The disposable black family,
Yeah, the disposable black family. Yeah,
the black Midwestern ranchers,
the sacrificial black family, because they all die.
But like it's not bad. It was just like I just felt like this movie could have been so much more impactful if it did just let some of these things sit just very slightly below the surface in terms of the character dynamics and be a little less on the nose. And like Laura, the baby Wolverine, like calling him dad at one point near the end of the movie. Like you don't need to have her literally say that.
Yeah.
We can just kind of get it conceptually. It's like in Aliens, like Ripley never just calls or Newt never calls Ripley mom literally in the movie. You just kind of get it. And then just again, like the movie just doesn't quite like it's shot in kind of like a very widescreen. It's in a widescreen aspect ratio. But it never feels, which I like, but it never feels like I don't know if it's just like they didn't use like wide angle lenses enough, but never feels big like those old westerns.
Yeah,
feel.
No,
like the
actually,
actual shot composition rarely feels like
the entire cinematography was very bland, except for there was one scene, and it's like an establishing shot, and I'm like, why is this the one shot in the movie that's pretty? But it's when they're going out of the trailer, and you have this juxtaposition. I think it's Pierce's character between this like huge big open sky and like these endless wheat fields, and the sky is all like pink and purple, and then these like very ugly machine trailers. And I'm like, why wasn't the rest of the movie shot like this?
Exactly. It's just
who is this one cameraman that just decided to like have fun with a really low?
It lacks visual swag that would really give it like the scope and the impact of like the kind of movies it's sort of emulating.
Which is really funny because the entire film is very genre heavy. You know, the opening scene feels like something out of Death Wish, where he just meets like a roving gang of like murderers.
Yeah. The classic I don't want
Mexican
no trouble.
Pendejos. No, they're a gang of Mexican pendejos and they're stealing his hubcaps.
And that's another example too, where it's like we see from that scene that like, oh, Wolverine's healing isn't working that good anymore. It's like hours later, his body's finally spitting out the bullets. His like claws slow to retract.
Coming out of his claw holes.
But then you know we have to have like several different dialogues that are like, "You're dying, Wolverine. You're getting old and you're dying." It's like, well, okay, we can tell. We can observe it in the movies.
I understand like when they do that like once because. Like, you know, sometimes if you're like me and you watch movies stupid high, sometimes you don't pick up on stuff and you need to be told that. But, you know, that I don't need to be told multiple times that, you know, Wolverine is dying because I know if he's not dying, he is getting too damn old for this motherfucking job.
Yeah. They have an entire scene with like a friendly country doctor too. Where he's like, "You're dying, Wolverine," and then they just move on.
Yeah. Laura like takes him to urgent care, which I think.
Yeah, actually, he passes out driving their vintage original '60s Ford Bronco, which I like. Actually, I like those old Ford Broncos.
Actually, now that just because I do want to talk a little bit about this, I want to give props to the name of the girl escapes me, but the actress who plays Laura, because she has like
she gets an and introducing, which means this is like her first major role.
She was great. Like she had that.
No, the cast is great top to bottom.
See what I did there?
Thousand Islands.
Yeah, but no, she has like a stare the likes of which like I haven't seen since like Mako Kaji. Just like gripping, and has like no dialogue for like the first 70% of the movie. She's like completely mute, and then she's like all just this acting with her eyes, and she can't be more than like 12 or 13 at the time of filming at the most.
When you have like really kind of consistently good performances across the board, I want to give the writer director whose name eludes me at the moment credit.
James Mangold. He did Girl Interrupted, which Angelina Jolie won like the supporting actress for, and that's a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, and I want to say Ford versus Ferrari, which was ass, but
it's like I think as much as his direction visually is just like kind of just like functional, but like kind of not especially striking mostly. And as much as I think, again, the script is just a little too, it's too on the nose, a little too trite to really like bring this movie to the level where it's like the way people talked about it, you know, like it's fine. But like it's clear that like he's got a deft hand with directing actors to get like really good performances out of the whole cast.
Yes.
So I want to credit him for that, because that's a big understated part of directing, is directing actors and getting good performances out of them.
And by the way, Stanley Kubrick did not torture Shelley Duvall on the set of The Shining. That was
Yeah,
a complete myth. That's a complete myth.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah. That's
wondering who the
worth.
It's busted.
Yeah.
cinematographer
But
was for this movie. Or, I guess they just didn't have
well,
one.
speaking of cinematography, wasn't this also
Oh
released
no,
in a black and white version as like
they did
Oh,
do
movie
it.
yeah.
They
noir?
did a gimmick black and white version
Of
that came
course they
bundled
did.
with I think the Blu-ray or something. Okay, so the cinematographer he's done like literally 2 movies that I actually enjoy, but he did Logan, Gladiator, which is a good movie.
Okay.
X-Men First Class, Detective Pikachu, the new Doctor Strange movie, and then Kingdom of Heaven, which I'm like the only person in the world
Oh shit,
that
Kingdom of Heaven.
gives a shit about that movie, but I really like it.
Oh god, I haven't seen it since it came out. I never saw the director's cut, but I wonder if I should revisit it sometime. Speaking of just a little bit of a side, but speaking of cinematographers, because I think I made a Twitter post where it's like, I was talking about Dean Kundi, and boy, his career got really depressing the past decade.
Oh yeah.
And
He's
for
the guy
people who don't know who
Jack
Dean
and Jill.
Kundi is, yeah, well, even worse. I mean, you guys don't need Dean Kundi. It's like Halloween, The Thing,
Yes.
Jurassic Park, like just a ton of bangers from the late 70s into the mid 90s.
Like,
then he got on the track of like these kind of family movies.
cinematography.
Yeah. His last credited movie was from a couple of years ago. It's just like no budget, direct to streaming, embarrassing looking movie. And when I mean no budget, I mean like it looks like a YouTube sketch, where Anastasia is sent through time to the present by Rasputin to escape Lenin, who's the bad guy of the movie, and she just befriends like a little girl in the modern world, or an adolescent girl in like a modern suburb.
And this is a movie for children, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's and it looks, like I said, it looks like a YouTube sketch, like real like Disney Channel kids TV show, but like not even at that level. And it's just like, God, they got a fucking legend to do the cinematography on this piece of shit. That's so depressing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie looked fine.
It looks like it's functional.
I wish it would have been like more stylized, though. In the like, I haven't watched a lot of westerns, admittedly, but there is a very specific style visually to them.
Well, there's a scope and a kind of pacing
the cinema,
to it.
Yeah,
and I'm not an expert in westerns, but I've seen a few, and a good one has a sense of scope. The landscapes and the skies and stuff just look huge, and there's a kind of laconic pacing and a way you build tension and do action in a good, admittedly, like most westerns I've seen are like spaghetti westerns and kind of revisionist westerns, like Unforgiven, Good, Bad, and the Ugly kind of thing. And like this movie is kind of like aiming, well, Shane's like an earlier, but it's kind of aiming in that direction. And it's just like when it's kind of doing a lot of like quasi handheld stuff and that kind of fast cut action choreography or action editing where you just kind of have a lot of close-ups of things. It's kind of easy to shoot around and put together and hide stunts and choreography. And it just kind of undercuts it a bit. It undercuts what the movie's aiming for by being just kind of too middle of the road modern movie or TV show kind of style. Except there's one really good shot where it's like tracking through the woods, one shot where Wolverine just like rips through a bunch of commandos in the woods near the end. And it just one like dolly shot going alongside him as he does it. That was really cool. It's like more of the action kind of needed to have, it's just like it's like the fight choreography is fine. It's just, I just wish it was, just not so generic looking. It's just like the whole movie's just a little, the corner's just still a little too sanded off. It's just still a little too,
there were some like prop
to
heads and prop arms thrown around here and there, which I liked.
there were like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it's
I
like
know.
you could see where it's like with a little more. I mean, the effects are a mixed bag. Some stuff looks pretty good. Some stuff is like pretty. Like there's like one of the shots of like him driving to drive his limo through that fence, and the fence is like going like elastic on him.
Oh yeah, they can't.
And there's like one really bad
fence.
CGI shot in there, and then that's. But that's not really the problem. It's just the style of this. Like I said, the script and the stylistic approach of the movie. It's all just a little too generic for the kind of movie it wants to be. And if it had been, a little, like I said, if it looked and felt a little more like that style of movie, had a bit more deliberate pacing, had that kind of big feeling, dynamic cinematography, had like a bit of a less bluntly expository script and let some stuff just kind of sit under the surface a little bit, it could have like hit a lot harder with all the same elements. It's like a few little tweaks that make it a soft good instead of like a really fucking like good like fucking movie.
I think in the group chat I said this movie needed more genre. You know, it just needed That's because that's what reading an X-Men that's what reading an X-Men comic is like. Like this movie is because the closest to that because it's like there's cyborgs and there's an evil Wolverine clone that's not really ever explained, but I don't know, it just wasn't an 11 out of 10. It didn't feel like you just watched a bunch of like really good movies and then we're like, okay, so what if the X-Men were in them?
Yeah.
And you know what? Now that the good segue, because that's another thing that we discussed during our pre-recording conversation is a running thing in Logan is I don't know if this is true of like the other like Wolverine movies, but like the X-Men comics are an actual thing in the universe.
I think they made this up for the movie.
Okay.
They're not real. They're not actually real issues of the comic. Although they kind of look like they look
exactly
they're pretty
like
convincing
they would
props.
Yeah, but they're
but there is like an X-Men fandom and like
it's that legacy franchise shit
in the like in the like narrative and lore and backstory and world building of this movie itself. So, like at the end, one of the mutant kids is holding like a Wolverine figurine. Laura has issues of X-Men in her backpack. The Mexican nurse
that idea
lady,
that they like
she got the coordinates from the X-Men comic, the coordinates to Eden, which is the place past the Canadian border that's supposed to be the refuge, which we're never even really clear that it's never clear if that's an actual real place.
That whole element where it's like
I like that vagueness.
Well, no, because the Eden is where they're gathering before they go to Canada, and they have that. They're talking to someone on the radio who's like, "Your asylum is secure. You just gotta get to the border." But like that, there's an element where that idea where it's like, oh, Eden might be something that was made up from one of these old X-Men comics that might not be real, but that just like that kind of floats like around the middle of the movie and then doesn't pay off because it turns out to be real.
There's a lot of subplots in this movie that are just kind of there.
That just But I just
like they have in fact Nicole asked me to explain this, but they have a big reveal at the end that they've genetically modified corn syrup into a mutant sterilizing substance, which is kind of crazy.
Is why no new mutants have been born except for the ones they made in the lab.
They're putting the chemicals in the corn syrup that make the friggin' frogs gay.
They call me the meme machine.
Like, because there's also when he's talking to the rancher, it's all like genetically engineered supercorn. This movie does have this like weird anti-GMO thing going. Which
it's also anti like driverless cars too. They're like they don't.
I mean, for good reason. Have you seen what Tesla's happen?
It's like way
by them.
Way cartoonishly over the top because they almost get creamed by the semi that doesn't even it just like honks at them. It doesn't even like attempt to slow down.
Were those? Oh, those were self-driving trucks. Is that okay? Because I thought those were like. people who were just angry at the black family because they were black farmers and they were racist.
We are called racist with no proof by MSNBC, ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center.
No, they don't even have cabs. They're just cargo containers
they're
on
just
wheels.
Cargo containers on these little like undercarriage.
I was complaining earlier about how someone has to have a line of dialogue explaining that the obviously driverless thing is obviously driverless, and now you're the reason why.
Oh, I did not catch the driverless line. I did not. Case in point, why they needed that.
They were racist.
I literally.
There's no people. There's no windshield. There's nowhere for a guy to sit.
Because they hit the.
Notice.
I thought. I was like, that's so mean of them to drive this nice black family and their horses off the road. What the fuck?
No, yeah. In fact, them being black isn't really even ever like they've solved racism, but they've brought back like Hatfields and McCoy style land disputes.
Yeah, with those like the big corn.
No,
yeah,
that's because they don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought.
Real corn,
I thought they were doing that.
Yeah, there's
black family.
I mean, it might be subtext just with the casting. But it's that's the Western thing, you know, the little farmer, the little rancher getting forced off his land by the big rancher, and that's just like the Western. That's a classic Western trope.
Okay. I'm not familiar enough with the Western genre, but that's like a firm. Okay.
That was awesome. Yeah, wrap the podcast up.
Guys. I know I'm supposed to be the professional film critic here, but
yeah, there is that weird like
I have blind spots.
Yeah, like we're messing with nature.
This is the
also like the anti-GMO
voice.
stuff kind of feels like side by side with like anti-fluoridated water and anti-vax. Like there's like a little bit of that.
I think there's some real stuff about like how Monsanto wants to use GMOs to like copyright certain seeds and stuff.
Well, they do talk about like all the escaped children being like patented products, which like I'm like that's a kind of interesting
evil, like
place to go that like people might like own your genetic code if they like treat you for an illness. But it's also just has a little bit of like dumb California guy.
Yeah,
they should have put that
going through it too.
I will say if this movie came out like even a year or two later, none of the conspiracy shit would be in this at all. Like none of the evil doctor, no GMOs turning you like sterilizing you, no patented like children that they have to smuggle out of these like big warehouses.
Oh yeah, because it's just so QAnon-rific. It is funny. It came up just before that blew up.
How you can't really do like that kind of like X-Files episode type shit anymore, which actually, which is very fun. Ryan Coogler's X-Files. Yeah, he's doing X-Files.
Oh, Ryan Coogler's gonna remake X-Men.
What if the X-Files met the X-Men?
Yeah, my initial response was that
was actually.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me.
I think so, because I know that they've done some crossovers with like the comics, which are I think published by Topps. The X-Files.
I'm just imagining just like Wolverine's like standing right there and with his claws out, and Scully's like, Mulder, I don't think mutants are real. That doesn't make any scientific sense.
Yeah, they've been living in the Marvel universe this whole time, and they're like, I think aliens are real.
Yeah.
They're watching Thanos on the TV, like killing everyone, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a hoax. What even conspiracy theories would they have in the MCU? Because it's like it would just all
Logan.
be real, you know.
Yeah,
they did this secret like deep state thing like in 2014. So
Battle of New York was a false flag.
On this, I will stand, I will win, or I will die.
I'm sure there's some awful Disney Plus show where they get into like some MCU conspiracy brain shit.
Well, isn't that what they're releasing Secret Wars on Disney Plus? Is that the
Secret
thing
Invasion. That's
Invasion?
more that immigrants are evil and that you should kill them on sight. Or at least that was the
Are you
plot
dead
of the
ass?
comics.
Is that
No, I'm sort of capping, but because they have the scrolls.
Is that why that show's gotten like no press or marketing yet, and it's apparently coming out in June?
I mean, maybe, but you have the scrolls, the shape-shifting aliens that live in space, and they fight the Kree. And then in Secret Invasion, it turns out, they've been infiltrating like the Avengers and the government, and nobody can trust anyone.
Oh, well, that's just classic, like Body Snatchers, the Puppet Masters. There was
that's Winter Soldier. We already did that story.
Well, no, that was Hydra, not
but that's the same. That's basically like that gets at the same sort of plot, sort of tension. Nothing now.
But again, that's just like I said. That's Robert Heinlein's The Puppet Masters.
It's filtered through like post 9/11, where it's like we need to create like an agency that'll kill them on sight.
But there's again, that just sounds exactly like what we've been watching for the past like 30 episodes.
It doesn't help, but with the MCU, you've already had like 3 alien takeovers already. It's weird.
It's not. It's lazy, is what it is.
A TV show from I think it was like the very late '80s. I remember catching reruns as a kid. It's a TV show that is a sequel to the 1950s War of the Worlds movie, where the aliens, where the Martians come back. I don't know if they're actually explicitly from Mars in that movie, but they come back. But this time, instead of trying to take the world completely by force, they're infiltrating disguised as humans. And it's like a kind of conspiracy thriller show. I think I only did like a season or 2. But Sci-Fi Channel or something ran when I was a kid. I remember watching some of it.
There's also you ever seen V?
Yeah. Oh, V is awesome.
Yeah, V's great.
I saw the original miniseries. I've never seen I haven't seen the new one. Series that or the remake.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, V is cool. V is cool. Anyway, so
that's the vibe that Secret Invasion should have, but it's just going to be like a sort of Daniel Craig, James Bond-esque thriller.
Yeah, it'll just be it'll be 10% of something cool diluted into 90% just more Marvel shit, Marvel MCU shit. Yeah. But I want to talk. So we touched on this earlier. The idea that the X-Men as a media franchise exists in a world where the X-Men are real and there's comics and toys. Oh, but the comics are the sanitized fake half-truth. The real X-Men will die and swear and fuck and I mean, there's things that have used it well, like the Boys is kind of built on the premise. Venture Brothers has that whole, like deal, but like that's like comedic. But like for something like this, I hate it. I hate again there. It's like, oh, the characters, especially like the next gen OC baton handoff characters, are fans of the characters they're meeting. It's just the same shit like the new Star Wars movies do and Ghostbusters Afterlife. And again, like there's the kid. I think we weren't recording when I said this earlier.
Yeah, the kid.
Forgive me if I'm repeating myself. The kid holding the fucking Wolverine toy at Logan's burial, and it's like, that's you. You're the little kid who loved Wolverine in the cartoon, and now he's dead, and it's so sad. It's like, oh fuck off with that shit, God. I am 30 or 40 years old and I don't need this shit.
I mean, how old is Kevin Smith? And wasn't this one of the movies he posted the frontward facing selfie?
Oh yeah, you just know he bawled like a baby at this movie, man.
I think I got a little weepy eyed the first time I saw it, just because I wasn't. It was in the theater.
I mean, it's not devoid of poignancy, but just the fucking Wolverine toy kind of undercuts it, because it's going from being sad in the context of the movie to being sad that your guy from the cartoon show from when you were a kid is gone.
Exactly.
Like don't like that's already kind of implicit. You don't need to. It's just feels so heavy.
Especially when they already do the heavy-handed symbolism of turning the cross over and making it an X.
Yeah, a lot of people found that profound for some reason. I was just like, we
It was
get
alright.
it.
Yeah.
I get it. You don't really. It just felt like I'm like, I get why they did it, but I was also
that's fine because it's just she does it and then the movie ends. It's
But again, I'm looking at this as something that works.
It would be
as a
less
standalone.
annoying if the movie wasn't doing the way more if there weren't just X-Men comics in the world or the X-Men are real.
Exactly.
That doesn't. That's so dumb. And
maybe they should have spent more time reading the X-Men comics instead of putting them on the set for the extras.
Well, okay, but my main thing, I think I'm able to sort of put it into words by now, is as we've gotten or insinuated with most of these movies, is that this is a pastiche of a much better thing that already exists. Like I'm positive there's like a Kurosawa or like Japanese samurai.
But Shane, it's the movie that's in the movie that
or Shane,
baby
or
Wolverine quotes at the funeral. It's Shane.
It's also John Wick, the first one.
It's like every movie where
that gets there's no grizzled puppies.
It's every movie where a grizzled old killer escorts a young woman somewhere. It's Last of Us. It's True Grit. It's like it's a classic kind of. It's also a little bit The Road Warrior. We've got to get the kids.
Yeah, Beyond
Thunderdome is specifically children. We got to get the kids
because the game was out.
It was that game was like 2011, 2012. So it's like
something like that. Yeah.
I don't know, when did Old Man Logan come out? The comic
2011
around that time, right?
Around that time.
Yeah. So the road, the movie of that came out a couple years before that, so that was definitely in the zeitgeist. Which again, it's just but yeah, I don't like the Legacy franchise self-suck. The movie being like, you love Wolverine so much, he's so important to you. It's like, no, I will decide that for myself, man.
Exactly.
And like I didn't need it either, because like, as someone who doesn't have any specific like history with the X-Men franchise, like investment or emotional stake in it, like the movie does a good enough job on its own making you care about Wolverine, like Logan as a character completely, like even if you haven't seen any of the other movies, like you get his character from the jump. And I think anyone, unless they've been living under a rock for 10 years, wouldn't know even like the most minimal information about Wolverine. So I like it didn't need that like extra push to it, because again, this is something that I think works very well as a standalone thing, like completely without the context of, and I don't know what the fuck is going on with the continuity of these X-Men movies. It's complete mystery, I think, to even the people who like love and consume these movies every day. But it's
they become incomprehensible.
Yeah. So at least again, like that's it just it occupies that same sort of ground as like the Joker movie, where that you don't need to see any of the other Batman movies in order to like see it as its own thing. But again, it's also relying on pre-existing movies like King of Comedy or whatnot. In this case, Shane, various like samurai movies.
That's something I want to touch on with this kind of like elevated kind of material when you take something that's kind of adolescent and make it for the grown-ups, is there's always this like deep insecurity about being sufficiently mature that makes it less mature than it wants to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that part of that is doing the pastiche and not being able to escape the pastiche. Part of it is like not that I mind swearing normally, but like there's some use of swearing in this movie that feels like they're just like, look, Professor X said shit.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
feel that too.
I don't know. Professor
There
X
is a
seems like a
little bit of
guy
that, yeah.
that I mean, when he's like in full dementia mode, that's something because people under the grips of dementia like act way out of character. But like he swears too much for Professor X. He's such a gentlemanly guy that I feel it feels like out of character. They're just doing it because they can do it. And again, like the complaints about the script earlier and everything. It's just there's this insecurity about the material being adolescent that makes its grasp at maturity less mature. It's like mature in the way like a 17-year-old is mature relative to a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And I see that like in video games a lot, like when video games over the last 10 years are trying to be all grown up. And it's like something like The Last of Us has like very similar problems. It's like a little more like just a little like too nihilistic is the wrong word, but it's like it contrives misery. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
To be just kind of punitive because it's like being adult is just like the world is this grim, terrible place, and you're just trying to get by, and everyone's out to get you.
Yeah, it's the most,
and that feels to me like
it's the
like
most
trying to make
a
video game for adults. But then like we streamed Silent Hill 2. That's a video game for adults. As far as I'm concerned. And something like Last of Us feels, like I said, it feels teenage by comparison, like a teenager who's trying to come across like someone older than they are.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just realized I'm not recording.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
But yeah, what do you think about like looking at like I don't know, I guess Joker's probably the biggest example, and again, it's very much like this movie in that it's clearly a pastiche of better iconic movies of a previous era.
That's the grift
escape
now.
From
like for lack of a better word for it. As much as
like Civil War was like, look, we cast Robert Redford. It's just like 3 Days of the Condor. It's like it's really not.
No,
it would be sick if it was, though, dude.
It's more like Robert Redford standing in front of a green screen for all of his on-screen time.
I remember going into that movie expecting them to do like a bait and switch where Robert Redford was secretly going to be the Red Skull or some shit. And then it's like, no, he's just a boring senator that's like evil. He's just
a guy, a Republican with a shitty wig and a bad tan, pretty much. He was so hot in 3 Days of the Condor that like I totally forgive him for doing that sus shit to what's her name? Is it Margot Kidder?
Oh, what did he do? I gotta find out what he did first before I endorse this.
Okay. But I mean, that's like the thing. All these movies are like relying on as far as like any inkling of originality at all anymore. Like originality now in these movies is not even originality. It's just blatantly pulling from other things in order to lend it an air of maturity and like depth, which is that's the cynical part of me. But then there's the other part of me that's like, I can't wait to see Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn in Joker too. So it's like on the one hand, this is
how you go about your stealing, Like,
that's
the
a
X-Men
good way
comics,
of putting
so
it.
much of the X-Men comics is just like Chris Claremont watched a movie and thought, oh, this would be cool.
Did you just... I'm sorry to point this out, but Stu just So you just walked past the microphone, but just buckling his pants.
Oh no, that's
Right, I didn't think about where.
Completely like zipping up and buckling your pants on camera, dude.
Oh, I didn't even think about where I was relative to the.
That's why we don't record. Yeah, we need another chat or not chat.
Patron
listeners.
level. Y'all can sit on us recording.
Yeah,
see
if
me
you,
looking like a
if you
mess
get the
on camera.
Patreon to $100 a month, I'll buy a webcam, even though nobody ever sees these other than the hosts. And I won't use the webcam for any Patreon screenings or anything. It's just for the recordings.
You give us more money and you get to see me wearing my Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself t-shirt that I bought on a boardwalk in Rehoboth Beach.
Where the hell's Rehoboth Beach?
Is that what that? I want to try and read your shirt.
Yeah, it's like a. Me and my sister got matching ones. It was on a family vacation. And like, it's like a bummy ass beach in it's like a bummy ass beach in Delaware. It's like a beach, like a beach that's like
what a place
off
to go
of
to the
highway.
beach.
Sucked. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this, but you know I got real cranky by the end of that fucking trip. Took me out on my birthday. I was in Delaware on my 29th birthday. I wanted to go hang out with my friends. I didn't know where the fuck I was. Anyways, what else is worth, like, because again, this is the hard thing with these, like, when we come across, like, they can't all be turds. So when we actually get to a movie that's like doesn't make us want to kill ourselves,
that's the thing. It's the type of movie it is, the audience it's imagining itself to be aiming for, the insecurities around the perceived adolescence of the source material, the kind of requirements to be appealing at a kind of lowest common denominator level. They all sort of add up to just make these movies less than the sum of their parts. And when you watch the best ones, it's kind of when you see it most, because you see like a good movie, like a 6, 7 out of 10, but you see where it kind of falls short of what it could be if and I don't say constrained by being a comic book adaptation as such, but if it wasn't constrained by the production environment and the assumptions around what these movies are and what they can or can't or should or shouldn't be. And it just, even in a case like this where it's a kind of quasi standalone, it's a franchise movie. It's not part of a cinematic universe yet quite, but it's still a limitation. An arbitrary limitation on its ability to, I guess reach that level of artistry and subtlety. See, I'm pretty sure like there was probably like a better draft of the script that addressed some of my criticisms that then had to have this stuff added in at some point in production.
This does feel like a multi-draft script, because there are just several subplots, like the big corporations really never addressed after the first like half of the movie.
Again, there's a bunch of stuff like, with Eden maybe like, not existing that doesn't go
Eden
anywhere.
Not existing. I wrote down in my notes like it seems like they're trying to do this weird like almost like religious guilt with Wolverine being like the only survivor of the mutant massacre or whatever, and that also never really goes anywhere. There's just so many things that are brought up once or twice with like especially like character aspects. And
I think if you kind of strip some of those out, you might the stuff that's core to the movie might have a little more room to breathe. And that might help it. But again, it's too still too much a product, still too kind of compromised by the commercial interests of a big franchise superhero film to actually be the poignant, mature, dark story that it wants to be fully. It can't quite get there. And I think that's the main reason why.
Yeah.
Because if it actually got there, if it actually was like a classic Western or something, it might be a little too slow or a little too alienating or a little too hard to follow for the members of the audience that have smoked entirely too much weed before firing up the movie.
Okay.
was
All right.
also
we're not naming
So was
names
I.
here, but
I did.
that wasn't a pointed thing at me. Okay.
I'm just being a little tongue in cheek, but
You're being sassy. It's sassy stew hour.
Sassy Stew, yeah.
It should be your
Sun's
new
getting right in
handout.
the ass.
Sassy's. Can that be your new handle?
Sassy Stew. Well, maybe after the episode comes out, we'll see if it catches on. Is there anything? Oh, you know what? Is there anything else you guys wanted to?
No. This is fine. You know, if it's on TV, I wouldn't turn it off.
Yeah, no, this is it's good. It's
not rewatch this. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't be like remiss if it was just on at someone's house and they were like, "Hey, we're watching Logan. Come over."
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's like we're my criticisms are of it not being bad, but just not being as good as it could be with just a little more, right?
Yeah,
not being as good as the way people talked about it when it came out.
Yeah.
And I understand.
It's a perfectly fine movie. Yeah,
it was a dead year as we talked about.
Yes, let's mention that because this opened March 3rd, 2017, and the movies it was directly competing with included Anna Kendrick movie Table 19 and what else? The Power Rangers movie? I don't think that was like the same release weekend, but
it was probably its most direct competitor.
Yeah, it was. It looked to be like a dead ass weekend that March 2017, which not
I guess
too long.
Spider-Man Homecoming might have still been in theaters.
I don't think it came out yet. I know Get Out would have probably still been in theaters at the time because that was a February wide release, but I don't think that didn't have the benefit of having like a IP to fall back on, of course. But as far as like tentpole blockbuster movies, I don't think it had any other like because early March is the very, very like beginning of like the blockbuster release season now, although it's kind of changed over the last.
My bad.
Okay. Yeah, so there was like this movie also just I think is worth pointing out benefited from not having any direct competition during its like 2-week release, like immediate release weekend or whatever. If that makes sense. Probably not.
Yeah. And again, like it was the right time to, you know, cause it preyed on the sentimentality of people for the franchise overall. And it, this is the right time for like, you know, again, like Deadpool just come out and then this is also X-Men related. And it's the flip side instead of being irreverently R-rated. It's you know, it was the time and place to be like, oh, we're doing this for adults now. We're going to make you feel feelings.
The feels, they have me.
So it was the right time and place, but I don't think it will stand the test of time as anything other than a movie that, like, once it comes up in conversation, people are like, oh, I remember liking that, but
fair enough.
I don't think it's a classic. So I guess is that kind of our conclusion?
Yeah,
then?
We should suggest. I mean, do we have any firm like watch something else recommendations?
Avatar 2. It just came out.
All right, we got an Avatar head on the pod.
It's about family. It has all the same themes that Logan has, but it has blue people in it, and if you watch it high, you'll probably get scared.
It got me to feel sad for a space whale, so that's something.
I still gotta get on that. I love my Big Dick Jim. The closest thing I could give as a like, again, this is not a watch something else situation because we're all in pretty much agreement. This was, pretty good relative to all the other shit we have
Yeah,
to
I
watch for
wouldn't
this.
turn it off if it
But
came on.
for lack of a more serious recommendation or sort of having been exposed to any of the movies, this is really deliberately pulling its shit from. One of the movies I saw at the Boston Underground Film Festival, it was I forget his name. It's the guy who directed Rubber, the Killer Tire movie.
Yeah, well, I've seen that.
He did like a Power Rangers parody called Smoking Causes Coughing, and it's fucking hilarious. And I watched it crossfaded as shit. So I blacked out for like chunks of the movie, but every time I woke up, something gnarly was happening. Like at one point, a guy was going through like a wood chipper, and then the next moment, he's like a talking bucket full of guts. There's a rat puppet that's like drooling and like fucking. Uh,
Holy
it was
shit.
John Waters called it like one of his favorite movies of 2022, and totally get why. But it's a complete farce. It opens with a bunch of Power Rangers people beating up on a guy in a rubber turtle suit, and the turtle explodes. it's like yeah. So if you vibed with like the Ultraman movie, this is like the much more like, as much as I think Shin Ultraman is a comedy. In my humble opinion, this is just like a straight out
I
farce.
just started watching the show, actually. In fact, that was why I was late, was I wanted to finish the episode.
Oh, I gotta watch the first. They released, someone translated the first 3 minutes of the Shin Kamen Rider on you. I gotta watch that after I get off here. Not that I have any knowledge of Kamen Rider. I'm just seeing it for. I will see anything Anno does.
The show is actually the original show is on Tubi. If you have that,
of course, everybody has. It's the people's streaming platform.
Tubi or not Tubi?
They also have Ultraman if you're looking for that. You can also actually, weirdly enough, you can find Blu-rays of Ultraman. Like, I got one at my local Walmart in the middle of the desert, so like they're probably out there.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I was
surprised. I was like, holy shit.
Before we close out, so you got a recommendation?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of an obvious one, but Unforgiven. Great movie.
Clint Eastwood, Kurt.
One of his best.
Is he actually the one? He's not actually the one running that Clint Eastwood official account, is he? Because whoever's running that is
I assume not.
Like Babe Ruth playing in the Yankees, like just banger after banger. Like, did you see the one picture? It was like
I have no idea about this. I just know people are going nuts for the Glenn Danzig account. That's also very obviously fake.
That's fake, but the Clint Eastwood one is like, it's completely up in the air to me, because he's
almost 100 years old. He's not running. He's not using Twitter. But no,
if the
Unforgiven's a great
ran
movie.
A Twitter account, it would just be like watermarked pictures of himself that already exist with like captions. that would be how a 100-year-old man would run a Twitter account.
Yeah, I'm gonna say watch Unforgiven and maybe Pale Rider. That one's pretty good too.
Comic,
yeah, throw it out. Yeah, Cole's comic book recommendation.
Read the Claremont X-Men Wolverine specifically collection. It's fun. It goes to Japan and South America. It's great.
He's going Japanese. I think Wolverine is going Japanese. I really think so. I don't know.
Do they ever touch in the movie in any of the movies that Wolverine is like a massive weeb?
I think that's what the Wolverine is about.
Yeah, that's the one where he goes to Japan.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I hear that one's dookie.
Can't be worse than Origins Wolverine. I saw that in the theater for some reason. That was terrible.
That one is also bad. Yeah.
So I guess if that's our conclusion, a little bit of shout out to our two newest producer tier Patreon subscribers. That's patreon.com/marvelousdeath. We've got Owen Pritchard and Cly. Thank you both so much for supporting the show.
And thank you to Jordan Marsh, Sean Burns, John Paul, Tank Buster, Jack, Genevieve, Salt M. Bank, Ronnie, Violet, Joshua Jenkins, and Stephen Francisco Santana for their patronage. We're going to use your money wisely on getting Cole a better mic or getting Stu an air fryer.
But yeah, and patreon.com/marvelousdeath. Also on our main page, where you can listen to the show and find various subscription links depending on your preferred listening apparatus.
I won't use it
Marvelous
to buy
Death.
comics. I promise.
You're not gonna use the Patreon.
No, you
money
need to
like
buy the
Christian
comics to do research.
Yeah, are these?
Oh yeah,
use the business expense.
You could use the money to buy DLC for video games you don't own. So that's marvelousdeath.podbean.com, and you'll see in the top toolbar there's a link to an about and credits page, where you can see all of our patrons listed, as well as everybody who's kind of contributing staff on the show and so forth.
Yeah.
And at Marvelous Death on Twitter. Anything else to cover before we conclude?
Follow me at Kansaragi on Twitter. By the time this goes up, both of my write-ups on the Boston Underground Film Festival will have gone up. As of right now, I'm going to see and write a review for Suzume, which is is it Makoto Shinkai? Yeah, Makoto Shinkai movie, who so far I've found his movies very mid, and from what I hear, this movie is about a girl who falls in love with a chair. So we'll see how that goes, but yeah, check out my reviews and writing on the Arts Views. Follow me on Letterboxd, because that's where the real good shit is.
If you support the show, bonus episodes, commentary tracks, some VIP Discord events. We watched a Godzilla movie recently, all sorts of fun stuff.
Doing homework while we were watching. But yeah,
I'm not going to stick around. It proceeds to stay for the entire thing.
It was a good movie.
It was fun.
It's just a good movie.
All right, but thank you again, everybody, for listening and for supporting the show. Rating, reviewing, all that good stuff.
Give us 5 stars, bitch.
We will probably cross the 10,000 listens threshold when this comes out, or before then. Again, it's I love doing the show. Thanks everybody who's given it a listen. And we will see you again. Movies are dead. Long live movies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Previously on X-Men.
Wolverine. Cool guy. Look, I've been going over your file, and I've made the decision to fire you because you are worthless.
What?
You're worthless, and you're fired.
Fired?
Let's add listening to your already impressive list of skills. I'll put it right next to made of metal, the substance that the guy we fight the most can manipulate with his mind.
But I've got these.
Yes, very impressive. Also made of metal, but I guess handy for all those fights where you can get right next to the person you need to attack. Okay, let's say Magneto is on one side of a bridge and he's killing a lot of people, like a lot. And we arrive on the other side of the bridge.
I'm gonna run at him.
You're gonna run at Magneto.
I'm very fast.
Okay, even if you're very fast, still gonna take you quite a while. Couple minutes. That's what? 36 people dead? Or Storm, fly over 2 seconds, suck him into a hurricane. Into a goddamn hurricane. Problem solved.
I have a motorcycle. Maybe I'd ride that.
What is a motorcycle made of?
Tubes. Glass and tubes.
I can really feel you picturing a motorcycle and trying. It's made of metal. Metal.
It's made of metal.
It's made of metal, which you can twist and bend and throw you off the bridge, and now you're f***ing dead.
I'm very useful to the team.
I guess, when you're not off somewhere having harrowing visions of your origin. Oh, where did I come from?
Where did I come from, though?
No, you're not hearing me. No one gives a hot
But where did I come from?
Get a journal, Logan. You're going to have to find gainful employment somewhere else.
Well, what will I do? Where do I go?
I don't really give a If I had my way, you and Beast would be over at the airport sniffing bags for the TSA. It's one of your things, isn't it?
I can smell really far.
That does not help us. You do not help us.
I have a motorcycle.
You're not all here, are you?
I'm not all there.
Are you just saying back to me what I am saying?
Did you just repeat what I said?
Well, Wolverine, I'm going to write you a prescription for an antipsychotic that I'd like you to take.
I have a motorcycle.
You're fired. I'd kill you with my mind, but it doesn't feel right. Feel like I'd be putting down a special needs member of the cast of Footloose. Huh? Gonna go fight some nerds? Hey, Wolverine, you want to see my claws? Bub. You.